I want to share with you what a normal day of drilling looks like for me. And at the end of this video, I'm going to share which of these drills are best for you based on your rating. So we're going to start here with the kitchen drills. We're doing cross-court dinks. We're trying to work the ball around. We're not just trying to go back and forth, very easy. One thing I tell people when they're drilling is try to make things difficult but doable. And on these cross court, again, these are kitchen drills, so we're not just dinking. If the ball gets wide enough, like you just saw, we're going to try to hit an ATP around the post if it's there. And that lets my partner know if the dink was too wide. Now, I think she was setting me up in this one because I was wanting to practice my ATP, but it's something you do. All the stuff you do at the kitchen, you're trying to drill here. Then we go heads up. So as you notice, we're going to be doing all four of these. We go cross court here. We're going to go down the line here and down the line here. That's all four quadrants. And we're going to do that as we're drilling. We try to do all four quadrants. And now we're in the heads up or down the line, whatever you want to call it, part of the drilling. And notice in this part of the drilling, there's less dinking and a lot more speed ups and counterattacks. So when you're in front of your opponent, a lot of times you're going to get the ball sped up or attacked at you, and you need to practice having your hands ready to counterattack. As you see me put my hand up there, I was ready for that counterattack, but then she did a sneaky dink. But that's what we're looking for here. When we were going cross court, it was more about the dinks and setting up a ball to pop up. Now we are looking to attack a lot of different balls. Now this is preparation for, and there I even go for an Ernie. But again, we're just trying to practice anything that we would practice in the game or need to do in a game, and that's what we're trying to drill here. As you see us move to the other quadrant, we're going to be going back to more dinks here because it's cross court, trying to get the opponent to pop up a ball or hit one too wide so we can ATP. But what I tell people when they're doing, there's the ATP, what I'm trying to tell people when they're drilling is make it difficult but doable for each other. So you're trying to constantly push against your partner or your drilling partner so that the balls, the shots are tough, but they're doable. So you don't want the balls to be so hard that your opponent can't get them back, and you don't want them so easy that they go to a game and be like, well, I was hitting this all the time in the game. Why can't I hit it or I was hitting this all the time in practice. Why can't I hit it in the game? Well, if that happens, your drilling is too easy. So make sure you are putting pressure on each other as you're drilling. We then move to the last quadrant, and we're going to be working more on attacks and counterattacks, like I said, because whenever you're in front of each other, anytime that ball is high enough, you want to attack and counterattack. Put pressure, learn to put pressure on your opponent, and then we move on to transition. Now here in transition, so transition is all of this area, from the baseline to the kitchen. I've chosen to start in the middle of transition, so I'm practicing balls that would be coming around my feet. I'm wanting to practice resets, so I'm basically being attacked to start the point, and then I'm trying to hit this reset to calm the point down. Now, I could choose to just hit this if I'm working on it, or I could hit it, and if it's good, I would follow it. So I have the choice. I have a lot of choices here. A lot of people might also want to start back here and just work on third shot drops and third shot drives. Your choice. I'm kind of, again, working on resetting balls at my feet, and then now I'm moving in, looking to attack balls that are popped up as I'm moving in. And as with the kitchen drills, we are going to be doing all four quadrants, usually with this drill as well. And then we would switch, and I would be at the kitchen while she chooses where she wants to be in transition over here. One thing to note, as she has now moved back to practice her transition game, I like to tell people that there's usually a teacher and a student role here. So when one person's at the kitchen and one person's working in transition, there will be a teacher and student role. The teacher is the one trying to feed the initial feed to the student who chooses what ball they want to work on. So if she's wanting to work on her third shot drive, I would try to give her a ball that kind of sits up that she can attack. If she's wanting to work on resets here, I would try to get the ball at her feet like it would be coming in a game. But whoever the student role is, and you kind of take turns, she could be the student in one section, and then I could be the student in the same spot the next section where I say, hey, can you pop up some balls for me to slam? And then she kind of becomes the teacher role, popping up balls intentionally for me to slam. Whenever you're doing this, usually you will just have the teacher and student role for the initial feed, and then you try to play out the point, because it's really hard and not really practical to continue feeding the same type of ball. It's more helpful to feed a certain ball to start the point or to start the little drill, and then just play it out so that you kind of get real feedback on what happens when you hit a certain shot. Next up, we have serves and returns. Now, as we're doing this, I'm going to pause it and explain a couple of things. When you're doing this, I want you to go for more than you normally would in a game. It's okay when you're drilling to miss some of these, but you could go for either more power, that's probably preferred if you don't know what you want to practice, or you can go for placement. So as Elise is hitting this serve over here, she could try for more power and get the ball to kind of bounce hard on me, or she can go for placement. This spot is great for her to practice. That might be too risky, so maybe like somewhere in here. Somewhere near my backhand is basically where she's trying to aim. If I was left-handed, then she could try to aim for this spot. But these three spots are all good to aim. This spot is okay to aim. It's more gimmicky than anything, but you could also try this for fun, a short, shallow serve. But these three spots are really, really good if you don't know where to aim. Now, the person returning, in this case me, I'm trying to avoid giving balls that just kind of lob up and then sit up high for her to come drive hard at me while she's moving in. I'm trying to hit what I call an assertive return and get this ball deeper and have it kind of skipping fast off of the bounce. So you can watch that as we're drilling here. She's going to be serving, I'm going to be returning. We'll be switching who's serving and who's returning. She can even hit a third. You can do serve, return, third shot drive just to alternate who's serving, as you see us doing here. So several different options. Now, I don't want you to get bored doing this, but I think it is very, very important to practice your serves and returns and to try to set up your points a lot better. Otherwise, just getting the ball in play is going to let your opponent put a lot of pressure on you on the return. Or if you're just getting your return back in and popping them up and they're sitting up even off the bounce, that's when you start getting the ball hit hard at you on the third shot. So we're trying to avoid giving our opponents easy balls for them to put pressure or attack us with. Now, this was filmed a few years ago, and we now have our own paddles that we use, and I want to show you all those real quick. Now, here's my online store where I sell my latest pickleball paddles and gear. I have my shirts, my pickleballs, my hats, and then my original Brute, along with my second generation Brute. Now, these are pure raw carbon fiber paddles. They're 16 millimeters, and they're the same paddle, but this one has the original art, and this has more plain art with different colored edge guards. If you're looking for a new paddle, go ahead and check out my store. I'll put the link in the description. And back to drilling. We're going to finish up this drilling session with some skinny singles or mini singles. There's different words I've heard, but most people call it skinny singles. Now, in skinny singles, you're basically just putting together all of what you just practiced into a mini game. It's like one-on-one, but doubles-ish because you're only playing half the court. Now, I'm going to pause it so we can explain. The person serving over here, Lisa's serving, I'm returning. When your score is even, the way we play skinny singles, if your score is even, you're on the right side as you look at the net. So she's on the right side over here. I'm on the right side over here at 0-0. She's going to serve it. I'm going to return it. And then we're going to play out the point. I have to hit to her half, and she has to hit to my half that I started on. Now, I'll make a full video on skinny singles later, but that's the gist of it. So you can see as we're finishing out our drill session, we're working on all of those shots that we just practiced and putting them into a game-like scenario. So that's what a normal drilling session looks like for me. And now for what I think are the best of these drills based on your rating. But first, I like to tell people, if you know what shots you need to help with, what you struggle with in your games, do those. If you just kind of drill blindly, here's what I would suggest though. For level 2.5 players, I recommend the serve and return drills the most, along with one drill I didn't mention is a volley drill where it's a cooperative drill where you're trying to go back and forth just out of the air to each other. Both of you will be at the kitchen or near the kitchen. You can be a step off if it's easier. But being close to the kitchen and trying to get this ball to go back and forth mildly fast. Now, you don't want to hit it so fast that this drill is scary, and you also don't want to pop it up so that it's just kind of floating like this to each other, because those would be balls that get slammed in the game. You're trying to go back and forth to each other. Now, this is good for helping you get more comfortable at the kitchen and to work on your eye-hand coordination. For 3-0 players, I recommend that volley drill we just talked about, along with transition as the most important. For 3.5 players, I recommend transition and actually the serves and returns, because 3-5 players a lot of times get a little complacent with their serves and start playing a little too safe. That's when you really want to drill that, put a lot more pressure on with the serve and more pressure with the return so you don't get those third shot drives at you as hard. For 4.0 players, I recommend transition and kitchen. And 4.5 plus, do all of the drills, but really hyper focus on the thing that you notice is happening in your game a lot. So if you're noticing you're popping up a backhand drop shot, for example, really rep that over and over. Spend most of your time focused on those shots that you keep noticing that you're flubbing in the game, because you're probably a pretty well-rounded player. You just have a few little holes that you need to patch up. Focus on those the most. So that's it. That's my drilling video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.